Whenever you are.
Agree.
About putting him in, he already told me.
I want this on there.
He's already in the grant.
I want here.
All right, we'll call our work session to order. Thank everyone for coming out tonight. Need to add 2 items to our agenda. We got some bid openings for generators to do, and we'll move that to number 1. We've got the people here that's brought the bids, got them in. And then the next one would be, the last item would be an executive session for personnel. Okay, we'll move on opening of the bids, please.
Okay. We've received, these are the bids for the generators for the fire station. The previous fire chief, Brubaker, was able to procure a grant to add them to, I believe, 8 stations. It replaces the one at Station 1 and adds to some stations that don't have the permanent generators. So what we need to do tonight is just let you know who has put in a bid, because we'll have to review them to make sure they've quoted everything we need.
Allison, if I can just clarify, there's 2 outstanding bid projects. One is the gas lines for those generators, and the second is those generators. So there's 2 different projects.
Now, does this bid include both of those, or is this just for generators?
This is the major one. This is for the generators and the installation of the generators themselves.
Okay, and does the grant money that we got, is it covering all of this? With what Chief Brubaker did, does it cover the total cost of these things, or is there gonna be a county match?
We'll know after we've reviewed all the bids. The first one is Residential Power Solutions. Okay. The second one is from Generator Maintenance of Georgia. The third one is Blossman Gas. The fourth one is Precision 3 Electric. And the last one Anderson Power Services. So what we'll do is we'll review all of them and tally and make sure everything is included that was to be included, and we'll bring a recommendation back to you.
Is it prudent to give those numbers even though we're not sure whether or not it's bid properly? Is it prudent to tell what those bids are?
It's up to the board.
I would like to hear them as a member. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I'd like to hear. The grant was for what for? The grant was for how much money, Allison, that Brubaker was able to get us?
I believe it was 180. Is that correct?
I don't have that in front of me. I can go grab it real quick if you like. I didn't realize we were going to be discussing this.
Okay, that's all right. We can see what if the board wishes to hear those figures. We got a grant for X, and I don't think we're gonna.
I don't think they're all tallied up.
Okay, if they're not all tallied up, then that's.
By generator, it looks like, instead.
Okay.
That's the problem we ran into before, is that there's not a summary
It's not a
total for
good
all.
summary.
Okay, all right, well, then we'll hold off. Okay. We'll move. The next item we'll be discussing is the City of Buckhannon's request to remove from sanitation special service district. And Avery?
It's my understanding that the city of Buchanan has requested to be removed from the sanitation special service district. This is part of the what's the service, thank you. The service delivery agreement that was entered in and negotiated a number of years ago, and I believe it's probably up again next year, is that correct? Yeah. So it's up again for negotiation next year, but the city of Buchanan has requested to. Special Service District, SSD. Sorry about that. Has requested to get out of that early. And they requested to immediately in January, to which the county said that was not an option at the time because a number of their citizens had already received the little cards that you have to use the convenience centers, and it was already going out on the tax bills. So the question is, does the county want to allow them to get out of the special service district and agreement at the end of the year is the current request. We will be renegotiating the agreement anyways in 2026, but that's the request.
Is anybody from Buchanan tonight to talk about this? Did anybody, Mayor Scott or anybody?
Well, he approached me about it and asked me to, to speak with y'all, and so I reached out to Avery, and so, yeah, they're wanting to get out of that. He said that, they have their own sanitation service, and they don't want to continue paying to the county if they don't, they don't have to.
And they did send a letter in January to request this. And so this could happen, being drawn up, it could happen January 1 of this coming year for them to be excluded, my understanding of what they followed through the service delivery paperwork and what they could do.
We could, and Allison might know more about what it means for the citizens and
For the citizens that still wish to use the service, when they come up here to get the sticker, it'll cost them $40 instead of whatever the tax amount was on their bill. And a lot of them, their sanitation tax was less than that. But several years back, the citizens really wanted it, and that's why they opted in.
And since then, they've picked up their own sanitation department.
No, they still, well, they started doing it themselves. They already provided a service to the citizens. It's just a lot of theirs still wanted the sticker.
Okay.
but it will mean that less tax revenue is going into that special service district because those citizens will not be paying into it anymore.
But they will be paying into it through December 31st.
That's correct. It's just something that needs to be taken into consideration in the upcoming budget process.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All righty. All right, item number 2 here is the county cleanup of property for magistrate court.
Magistrate court's not here, so you get me tonight. But it's just kind of what we discussed, I guess, about 4 weeks ago, 2 to 4 weeks ago. Just kind of seeing where we're at on that. We're still having a couple citizens that are kind of requesting some more information, and I don't have an answer for them. We're kind of just in a holding pattern.
Okay. My biggest concern, and I had spoken to Avery further about this, if we take this on, and there are some properties that need to be cleaned up,
and that would be at the county's expense.
Yes, sir.
But we will lien their property, and that lien, they may have a half dozen other liens on their property as well. But that lien, the following year, correct me if I'm wrong, will be part of their property tax. So they'll have to pay it at that time. So if we spend several $1,000s cleaning and hauling off somebody's junky yard that they won't clean up, we have a mechanism to collect it at least the following year. So it doesn't leave the taxpayer out there. Am I correct in saying that?
That's correct.
Yeah, and that's how I understand it. I mean, unfortunately, it does, the brunt of it does hit the taxpayer, but we will get our money back. And the property gets cleaned in the process, so.
If they don't do it again.
If they don't do it again, then we'll be right back there at square one.
And I think the questions are, is the county going to allocate some resources or funds for this, and how much? And then are we going to use county employees to do the work, or departments to do the work, or are we going to hire outside contractors to do the work?
I prefer to hire outside contractors because our employees are, they work, and I would probably come out of the maintenance department, and they can't undertake that. So I believe it's going, my thought is, on the board, my thought is it would be bidded out just like anything else, and a private contractor, if they have the right credentials and the paperwork to go onto the property, then our attorneys can supply the legalities for them to do so.
Would that be something that a work detail from the sheriff's department could do? Instead of spending taxpayers' money on that, could, you know?
Yeah. And it depends on the work that needs to be done too. I mean, if it's just cleaning up some trash and debris around the property, then that's one thing maybe an inmate crew could do. If it's tearing down a structure or something, then that's something that we would have to use some private contractors for some of that.
Well, some of these properties that I have seen, it's going to require a dumpster or two to clean them up. And so I think it's going to be a lot more than. And equipment to load it. So where inmate labor could be used, I'd be all for it, but I think majority-wise, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, because you're going to end up with vehicles and, you know, stuff that humans ain't going to be able to pick up and move.
Yeah, every one of you is correct. Majority of it's going to be generational. I mean, we're not talking about 3 or 4 years of bags of trash. We're talking decades worth of junk and debris. So I think overall, I think sometimes the inmates would most definitely be helpful for some quick fixes on some, you know, just maybe 2 or 3 years worth. But some of the ones that we're eyeing to clean up, it's going to be a little bit more involved.
Yeah, I think we just need to look into bidding it out.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Marshall. Again, the next item will be the camper ordinance. Marshall, attorney, y'all got any further updates, or is that ready for?
No, as we presented it a few weeks ago, I'm very confident that it's very suitable for our needs here, and I think it's ready for a vote.
Okay. We'll put that on our July.
Can you hit the high points on that camper ordinance for us again, so
Right.
everybody can hear?
Right, so the camper ordinance, it's not going to impact 99% of the people that are utilizing campers, right? Because if you're building a structure, you're allowed to live in a camper on that property as long as it's properly permitted, and you're continuing to get inspections for that process, right? So you can still use a camper and build a house. This is more aimed towards the vagrancy of it, right? We're talking about the people that are essentially trying to lay low from law enforcement, trying to lay low of other responsibilities, and they're living in a camper that's not much of a camper. It may have 17 tarps draped across it, and there's a lot of other criminal activity in place. That's kind of more so what this camper ordinance is. We understand that people falling upon hard times, and we're not looking to, you know, make that hard time any worse. But it's just, again, more affecting the other criminal activity that comes along with such, right? So you can still permit and properly have a camper for a temporary basis, but we just need to realize it's not a permanent, long-term living. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Marshall. All right. Our next item is item number 4. It's the IGA regarding the housing of the city inmates between Haralson County and the cities.
This is something we've discussed for several years. It's a great need, and all of the cities are behind it, so I think it needs to be passed.
Avery, do you mind describing the IGA for us?
Yes, please.
Yes, so the county already has agreements with all the cities regarding and the sheriff is included on that agreement, regarding the housing of the inmates in the jail. And this is just updating that and bringing some of the per diems and other amounts involved up to current rates. So it hasn't been changed or updated in a while, and this is updating that and providing a little more funding from the cities for housing the city inmates. And this would still need to go to all the cities to review and approve as well.
But I want everyone to understand the beauty of that I see, and I can speak for everyone else. The beauty I see in that is if a city has a city violator that's not on state charges, that's not a state charge, because that would be handled through the county. If they stay in jail, it's what, $42 per diem, I believe, for any city to keep their prisoner in jail. Well, if they're a city charge, they're probably not in there for a very abusive, law-breaking. It's going to be very minor for the most part. Now, understand that's a local, city charge and not a state charge where more penalties would be and fine. But the cities are paying that $42 a day. And that's not right for you and me to pay for somebody else to sit in jail. So what has been discussed and what has shown will bring in more money to the sheriff's department at no cost, and that's a good one, no cost to you, is that we're gonna add a 10% fine. The city has municipal courts. So you go up and city judge and he fines you $100 for a speeding ticket. He's now gonna collect $110. You the violator are gonna pay the $110, and the 10 goes to the sheriff's department, and you, the taxpayer, don't pay for that prisoner in jail to feed and house him anymore. It's time that the violators paid for their offense and not us. And so that's where that is heading to. I just wanted you to be aware of where the money is coming from now and where we want the money to come from.
Well, such a large expense in that jail, that it's just all but right. If the cities don't have a jail, but the county has a jail, they need to have to pay a fee for the county to house their inmates. So that's basically what it is.
Okay.
Any other questions? All righty. We'll move to item number 6, and we will go into executive session for personnel. I have a
Okay.
motion.
We do have a couple signed up for public participation.
We need to address those first.
Where you wanna-
Oh, okay.
Just go ahead and address those.
Chavez?
Good evening. Please bear with me. English is my second language, and I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a citizen of Haralson County, and I'm also a firefighter for Haralson County. Our department's been in the spotlight the last few weeks. One of the spotlight was our budget. But do you realize 2/3 of our fleet is 25+ years old? That's our fire trucks. The fire trucks are older than the guys that are driving it. Our equipment is out of date. It's frustrating when you're going to a call for somebody having difficulty breathing and your fire truck won't start. The other statement that I have is like, I'm sure you're aware, our fire chief resigned. That was a good man. Micromanage him, you ruin a good man's career. The other thing I would like to say, I was sitting right there when you passed our insurance. And one of you asked, what if our employees will give up? I'll tell you what the employees will give up. Our copay went up. My blood pressure medication got, what's it called? It got denied by our insurance. Our family plan is $1,600 for every county employee, not just the fire department, every county employee. That's what somebody with kids and a wife have to pay for our insurance. I work for some great men and women in Haralson County, and a lot of them are local. And we want to stay here. We want to do good for our citizens. But we need you to be there with us. The other thing is, like, in my station where I work in Felton. One of our fire trucks has been sitting there for 3 months. I first do fire truck because we don't have money to replace the starter. But we do have money to buy one of you a brand new car so you can drive around. I came to this country 25 years ago, and an old Korean veteran gave me a book. It was the Constitution. He told me, if you're gonna live in my country, learn the rules. I hope you can read the Constitution again. Remember, you're here for the people, not for personal gain. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chavez, if I could ask you a few questions just on some of the stuff that you asked. You said that there were many fire trucks that you have issue with because they're so old, is that correct?
Excuse me?
You said there's some issues with some fire trucks,
yeah.
is that correct?
Okay. We have a lot of issues with our fire trucks.
I'm sure you're well aware of how much those things cost, right?
Yeah. I
Okay,
do.
whose taxes do I raise to pay for those?
Excuse me?
Whose taxes do I raise to pay for those?
Well, you don't have to raise the tax. I mean, like,
Then how,
we
let me
pay
ask,
tax
how do I,
fund
how do
that.
I pay for those?
Excuse me?
How do I pay for those?
Well, we don't have to buy all of them at once, but
Well,
we can.
I get
we
that,
can
but where
change
does the
our
extra
fleet.
$500,000 to $1 million for those fire trucks? Where do I get that money? I'm not raising taxes on people. I'm not
I'm
gonna
asking
do
you to
that.
raise taxes. I'm asking you to give us a little bit more.
But then do
leeway.
okay, so if I give you more money, what
Truck I'm
what
driving-
department do I take that from?
The truck I'm driving right now, it leaks oil, it leaks water, and the transmission is bad, the steering wheel is bad.
We have been trying to replace these vehicles, but I'm going to address the citizens of this county. This department alone, in the last 2 years, on salary line alone, has went over budget $1.6 million.
Can I answer?
Okay, so that's 3 fire trucks that we have taken out of the fleet.
We
We can't
can't-
buy and replace them
can't-
because of the salary line overtime.
We can't-
Overtime.
Because we can't keep people to work with us.
I understand that, but
Our salary pay is now, it's comparable with the counties around us for what we do. But their insurance, the last 6 months, we lose 3 young firemen because they couldn't afford the insurance. In 3 months, we're losing an officer. I wish I knew what he forgot about firefighting. And we're losing him because of the insurance. One of the problems is the insurance, and we don't have the person, so we have to work overtime. I have to work overtime. If you can do something for us, so we can serve our community, we don't have to pay overtime.
Commissioner
but what is it- what
Commissioner
is
Ellsbury,
a-
if I can hop one say, just to finish what I was going off of real quick, I apologize for interrupting. The seminal question here is, where do I get the money? Do you want me to raise your taxes to pay for those things?
My taxes are gonna go.
No.
I'm not talking about your property values. I have nothing to do with that, and we can address that momentarily. But when I'm talking about the tax bill that you received, the millage rate is what we set. We have not set the millage rate. So the millage rate that everyone saw on their tax assessments is not accurate because that's not the current number. We have not set that for this year. But my question to you is, you're asking for more money for that department. Where do I get it? Whose department do I cut from to give to you?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
We don't have the money to buy fire trucks, but we have the
We don't have that money
We don't
at the
have that
moment.
money.
And that comes from a totally separate tax revenue called a SPOS, which I am not allowed to pay you out of.
That's right.
I can't turn the SPOS dollars that the people in this county vote on. That SPOS is a referendum that gets voted on and approved by the taxpayers. If you want the SPOS, great. If not, then that's your prerogative. But that's something, we don't pass the SPOS, that's something the people in the county do. But the question that I would point to you and to other individuals, when it comes to this, where do I get the money from? No, we're talking now, I thought we'd moved into the salaries. I get, yes, you can buy fire trucks out of SPOS, but but there's only so much SPOS dollars to go around too.
Exactly, but we're not asking for a truck every 3 months. We're asking for at least start changing our fleet.
I get that, but where do you want me to, taking SPOS out of it, whose taxes do I raise or what department do I cut from so that the fire department has more money?
That's right. How much, and I am pro-public safety, period. End of story. We got y'all's money up really good. Y'all, we're comparable with every county, okay? Now let me finish. I'll let you finish, you let me finish. When we are paying a chief a salary, should a firefighter make more than the chief? Okay, so we have several firefighters in our county right now that make over $100,000 a year. $100,000. Do you think these citizens want to pay that man $100,000 a year? Do you want to pay your taxes and pay $100,000 for a firefighter? Because that's what we're doing right now.
Do you know why, sir? If we don't
I do know why.
If we don't have anybody in those, and if we're not paid overtime.
Yes, I know that. I do know that.
We will be closing fire
I do.
stations.
I know all these issues. I do. We are very well aware of all the issues.
He says he's gonna let him finish if he lets you finish. He's trying to tell you why. He's one of the individuals that is suffering. I get where you're coming from, but he wants to tell you why. You said you
Go
would
ahead.
let him finish if he let you finish.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Other than, like you said, we're very short on personnel. In my shift, we have 5 full-time personnel. We have 12 stations. We have to fill up the other stations. We can't leave the citizen without coverage. What we would do, we have to get somebody to work. Some people want to work and we have to pay overtime. That's a easy, I'm with you. Did, a firefighter should make more than fire chief? Absolutely no. I don't. And the other thing is like maintenance. We spend more money in maintenance than what the trucks are worth. We got 20-year-old kids driving a truck that's 26 years old. That's a bigger problem is personnel and maintenance.
How do you think we need to fix that?
I don't think that's for him to answer. I think that's for us to answer.
We're not trying to put you on the spot. We're not trying to put you on the spot. We just wanted, by what you're saying, everybody here can hear the struggles we're having with what you're saying. So that's a very good thing.
Fireman. He's making $15 an hour. Next county's paying $16 an hour. Their insurance over there is a lot cheaper. Why can't we offer a fireman to stay with us and work with us? Why can't we tell that young man, stay in this county, we'll do right by you? When he gets married and has a wife, have to pay $1,600 of his insurance.
I agree.
I live in this county, and like you can tell, I was not born and raised in this county or in this country. I ended up here by mistake, but I'm glad I did, because I love this place. I work with some of the best people, and I love my neighbors. That's one of the reasons I became a fireman, to serve my neighbor. And we need you guys to help. You can't help it. About Chief Myrick, it's a shame, because he was the first fireman that I met when I came to work in Haralson County. Micromanage him, ruin him.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to,
Nobody else?
what Mr. Chavez said is right, but you the people got to ask. Public service is probably number one on everybody's mind. But that's about 55+% of our entire budget when you look at fire and the sheriff's department. What's nearly 11 or $12 million in this year's budget between those two departments. And people, the only place that you can make significant cuts, because we've gone through the operation of their departments very thorough. And we look at the history of what that operation of those departments have been over the last 3 years. And those numbers barely change. It's the salary lines and the benefits that go along with it that change astronomically. So the people need to ask yourselves, what level of service are you willing to pay for? And when is too much, too much? And we can cut the fire department. We can close stations. That's your biggest money saver you got. You can't cut out a set of tires or an oil change. Those are nickel and dime. To make significant cuts, you're talking about some of these stations are out in the county, and you may live right next to one, and you don't want that fire station cut because it's there to protect you. But in reality, if we go back and look at how many times that fire truck is called out, it's very costly to you people who live in these rural areas. And I'm sorry, but you got to decide, what do you want? We got 11 stations open. They probably cost in the neighborhood of $200,000 a year. And we got more, and that's a one-man station. Then we got more we got more personnel in Buchanan and more personnel in Tallapoosa. At the Buchanan station, Tallapoosa station. But in these rural areas, that's a one-man operation. And we're asking a whole lot out of one man. And that is costing a tremendous amount of money. So ask yourselves, can you do with less? Are you willing to do for less? Because that's the dilemma that we, the board, face. And I wish y'all would help us with that answer and give us direction you want us to go, because we are here for you. And if that's not what you want, then we'll do our best to oblige you. So that's just what I wanted to say about public service. And I will, we talk about, let me finish. There's one more. We talked about fire and all the overtime. And it's been astronomical. But our sheriff's department, in the last 2 weeks, in the last pay period, just the last pay period, had 253 hours of overtime. Now, is that the kind of public service you want? The sheriff is a constitutional officer. He gets what he wants. But sometimes he gets confused with his wish list and his need list. And it costs us. That's a department that we, as a board, have very little control over, but you, as the public, have a large control over. That is not sustainable at 253 hours in the last 2 weeks. And that's what you're paying for, people. Is it worth that to you? Do you see that do you see that better, public service for us paying all this? You need to ask yourself, do you want less? That's in the fire department and in that sheriff's department. And if it's in the fire department, we can help you. If it's in that sheriff's department, you need to go see the sheriff and tell him what you want and don't want. Now, that's all I got to say.
All right, we'll move to item number 6. We'll go into executive session.
Make a move.
Make a move.
I'll
Second.
second.
All in favor?
I think we need to just be very clear. I make a move, we go into executive session for purposes of personnel.
Personnel. All right,